I guess to represent the Historical Society. And I'm planning on working on some of the grants for the Historical Society as well as the rec committee. Kind of drafting some of the ones that are upcoming. I think I sent it out to maybe Jonathan, but I've got a list of some of the grants for the rec and Historical Society. Some of them are from Rise VT and some are from the state, some are from the Arts Council. So we're just kind of starting to get in touch with these people and gonna start applying here. Some of the ones I have could be used for the common school, but I don't wanna, I know that's kind of an ongoing, not decided thing yet. But there are grants available that could be used for something like that for ADA access. And there's really not much, I think we've been in a few times, there's really not much that needs to be done to the building. And so I was going over the ADA guidelines, and I work in the construction industry as well. Basically, for the federal ADA guidelines, as long as you're making, they call it reasonable accommodations, basically as long as you're working towards removing barriers to access. So, and they prioritize it. So the first priority would be adding a ramp and then making sure you have the parking for disabled people. And then there's a second priority, which would be, you know, adjusting shelves or water fountains and all of that. And then the last priority would be to add a bathroom, and stuff like that. So I think if we were to go down the road with the common school, I think it would be pretty easy, to apply for a grant for just getting the ramp done. And that would basically be the first step. I think everything else is pretty much in place. And once you have that ramp and the ADA access doors, I think you're good to go to use that main part of the building. But
during the process of becoming ADA accessible, as far as the restroom is concerned, if we had an ADA accessible portalette outside, would that?
Yep.
That would be sufficient?
Yep, that would work.
Okay. Because we rent one already, I'm sure we could probably make a changes to get an ADA accessible.
I'm sure you could.
Portalette instead of the standard size.
And for the rec at the beach, we typically have gone with working dog. When we went to go put some at the
They were
rec
sold
fields,
out,
they
right?
were sold out, so we had to use, Wilson. I don't remember the name.
With Little League coming up, we should probably,
Was it P&P? Yeah, P&P Septic.
with Little League coming up, we should probably get going on ones at each field, I believe.
Okay.
If we haven't already, but that should be, yeah, we should be.
So does that come out of your rec budget, Chuck?
It did.
It does, yeah.
The beach one?
The beach one comes out of the town.
That's what I
The
thought.
two fields come out of the rec.
Eventually, Gavin, if we can put everything together the way that we want, you know, the big picture, rec would love to have that as well. The pond has its own committee, but we've discussed so many collaborative efforts between the library, the town, the pond, when the rail trail opens up. I mean, we do have huge plans. One of the main focuses between the two, the Historical Society and the rec, is not to cost the town any additional money, right? I mean, our budget, it's a tough time, plain and simple, with us kind of forgiving the lease with St. Albans Rec, because the cost that was associated to that to the taxpayers, bringing as many activities as we can, now including with Tori and the Historical Society. We just want to try to keep the cost as low as possible. That's easier said than done. I think the first step for us to take the next step is to gain access to the common school. And the last few months, we've been wanting to present to the select board sooner, but we really wanted to have all our eggs in one basket. We wanted to have Tori take a good, close look at the building, what it would require to be ADA accessible, because that's the elephant in the room every time we discuss that building, right, is ADA accessibility. It was for the school. If we occupy that building and hold a public meeting, it has to be ADA accessible. We can always use this room like we have in years past, but going back and forth it's monotonous, and we prefer not to do that. So it's taken, we just wanted to make sure, Tori wanted to figure out what he has on that paper before we presented, you know, the question if we can.
Yep, and it definitely requires some thought on our parts too. but it is achievable. Some of the programming, obviously, you have a fitness class or something like that, you'd want to have it on the main floor, or an alternative, so you maybe do it outside, something like that. With the Historical Society stuff, it's a little easier, because you can do what's called alternative programming, which, you know, we could put our displays online essentially, and they can basically see the displays that way as well, which kind of counts as reasonable access, so.
I mean, that could be said for an exercise class too. We could Zoom the exercise class
Yeah,
and Zoom the meeting.
And you guys have been doing it for COVID anyway, so.
Yeah, because we've been having meetings there and then Zooming people in if they wanted to join and were unable to, so.
But I do believe it's a road we should probably just start to go down because the building is not getting any younger. We might as well be using it, just start looking into it. If we plan on using it.
Well, the roof we'd already spoke about last year.
Yeah.
Of getting hold of in case you may remember that guy's name, but he's done a lot of work around Fairfield for different places. And
Yeah, and he does a good job. Or you were just talking about maybe painting it, right? Or
screwing it down and painting it.
Should at least be painted.
We actually had our roof just redone because, and he just put some kind of coating on it right on top of the rest. He didn't even clean it out.
Yeah.
But it was specifically for that, so he didn't have to.
Right.
something we could look into.
We have just over 20,000 in the common school checking account.
Right, because this guy's done, well, he did up my mother's, he did the garage by my house, milk house roof barn, and that roof was, on the milk house, was really bad. But this guy spent 7 hours there. I mean,
It's held
he's-
together since?
Oh, and he screwed the whole thing down. I think he did mold, didn't he do your house, or your mother's house?
No, he did, Lauren Tracy's bar across the road.
Oh, he did that. What the hell's his first name? You'd swear the guy was down from Arkansas or somewhere out of Champlain, New York originally.
Okay.
You know, but what he did was he painted for these oil companies, like in the Dakotas in the summertime, and then they went to Texas and that, did all those tankers down there. Phil, this guy's
It's
down.
not that Paul White.
Well, he's related to that White. He married that White's daughter.
If we got a hold of him, if you could find his name.
I got his number right at home, because different people called me and said, well, use you for reference. I said, the guy does good work and he's fair. And it's like, he's got 3 kids and the guy that bought mom's house, they repainted that. And those kids are on ladders. 17-year-olds are up on top and 10-year-olds are on the bottom ladders. And they were all 4 of them going around the house scraping the whole thing. So they work, when they get after it, they work, and they're insured and everything else.
You think we should probably start there then with that gentleman on the roof first?
Oh yeah, I'd say get the roof done.
Yeah.
I don't care what building you got, get the roof done first.
Yeah.
Then the building will stay most of the time.
Yeah, if it's somebody that'll screw it down and fix what
Right.
needs to be fixing, not just paint.
Right, not like some of these clowns come in, throw something over and put a little extra kerosene with it so they can spread it out. I mean, I was thinking, he's done that 3 years ago at home, and I still haven't seen anything come through on it, so. Yeah, that old Mr. White, he's married to his daughter.
Yep.
So Gavin, you'll get me a number on that?
Yeah, I will, because that guy, I should remember his name, but it's,
Perfect.
So if we collaboratively, the rec committee and the historical society, are you, well, I guess me too, but it's weird where I am. Do we need to vote or ask permission to occupy that building in a collaborative effort? How does that work? I mean, we were granted, the rec committee was granted permission, but now with Tori coming in, is that, as long as our main.
like some of this grant stuff, I mean, you gotta figure this out. In my mind, we got Pat Malone
Yeah.
as your grant writer.
Yep.
Yeah,
So we can't, in my mind, we can't cross too many paths here without him being coordinated into this thing.
and my thought on
And
that-
he's responsible to come to the board and say, hey, there's a co-pay you guys pay in, like the town on some of these things.
Like a match or something.
A match of some nature, okay, we need to be fully informed of that
Yeah.
before anything says, oh yeah, we'll jump into this. No, you won't, till we find out how much our share will
I
be.
got some of this together before I knew Pat was on.
Yeah.
I kind of started it when I think it was in between.
Right.
And so I had no problem, I think I already sent him this list, into Jonathan, so if he needs help, I can draft it just to save him time, but he can be the one that actually kind of yes or no.
I understood, he did a lot of that grant writing at UVM for, what was he, facilities and rescue or something?
EMS.
Yeah. So I guess he's done a pile of it. And he doesn't want a full-time job with that thing. He wants it to be part-time, you know?
I think as long as you work with them.
Right, that we all know what the
Whether
heck's
it's
going
rec
on.
committee or library, whoever, drafting something and saying, this is
Yeah.
where we're headed, what we'd like.
Take a look.
Can you do,
Right, maybe.
polish it and figure out where we need to go?
Yeah, do the legwork and then hand it off and have it, you know, have the Ts crossed and the Is dotted and final, you know, so then if he wants to do it on a part-time basis,
Yeah.
we can do some of the legwork and take some time off of his hands.
Yeah, because I think I don't know if he was, when in our last meeting he was here, was he retiring in June, or he was wondering if he was gonna get laid off from UVM? You know, because they're scaling stuff back, and he didn't know if he'd get put to pasture a little sooner than he expected to be. One of those deals.
I mean, as far as us beginning to occupy, I know the Historical Society, there's a room that they're interested in occupying. They wanted to do some painting, which would be, you know, we would do all the painting ourselves.
Don't have a problem with it.
Some spruce.
Do we have to, I'm just wondering, legally, do we need to have like a little lease thing like we did with
We're a town.
school, or, because you're both you're definitely the rec
So
part
rec
of
is under
town.
the town, but the historical society is not, so I would
Then you're
say,
out.
at least insurance wise, you'd have to have your own insurance.
Okay.
In terms of liability or, you know, whatever artifacts you have.
Or should we do it like $1 a year like we did with the school? That would,
Just to be safe and cover
oh, that would be cash up front, of course.
$1.50. We can give you $1.50.
Yeah,
But rec, when they're.
How about $1 piece?
You're already part of the town, so.
So we're, as far as insurances and whatnot, now let me ask you this, there's a woman in town who's very interested in hosting some aerobics classes and yoga, and how does she get covered under insurances? Like, how do we do it with Shannon and Zumba? She's through the town, isn't she?
I have no idea.
No, not through the town. Was she at the school?
She was, but if I remember correctly, John Baxter had something to do with that through the rec department. I'm almost positive.
I mean, I think it's,
I have no idea.
I would say,
I don't.
I
Okay, well, let's
have
just say-
insurance, but my guess is that if it's a rec committee function,
It would be.
whether it's a rec committee member themselves or someone else that's still involved, that it was organized and prepared by the rec committee, then you're covered, but let me.
And we just get it double
Let me double check.
Wouldn't we just have to have a waiver like we do with all of our
Correct,
sports?
that's my guess is
Okay.
All the
that
participants
you're not
have
liable,
to have
but.
waivers?
Just if we could get that down so we could, because we want to start doing some
We
programming now
actually
that
have
the weather's
another
getting
woman that
better.
contacted me about doing a yoga class.
Perfect.
And she's very interested in
But yes,
I would have
going into that.
I wouldn't sign that waiver because I would surely hurt myself.
I don't think they would let you attend.
So you're okay if we began occupying the space?
It might as well be used in my mind to sit there deteriorating.
Great.
Well, as far as ADA
Rent and fuel,
accessibility, like.
electricity.
Were you saying that? Sorry.
I just said, you know, rent, electricity and heat.
First,
That's-
last.
Yep, first and last, yeah, so $3, come up with that.
So as far as ADA accessibility, I mean, if somebody's doing a yoga or a Zumba something, and we have it scheduled up on the second floor, and somebody comes in and they can't get up there to do that class, can we just move it down and then we get
Yeah, I
them
would say
there,
so.
and then that's all,
Yeah,
it's all fine? As long as we work as a, you know, like, case-to-case basis to make it accessible to the person. I mean,
I think so. Yeah.
Well, so you gotta make, it's accommodations, you gotta try.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, make an effort. Okay.
I say, well, one thing, it takes too much for a ramp, right, for the front door.
Not if
We
they
were
come
talking
off the
about ramps
side.
out the back door. And
Yeah.
turn so that we don't cut, like, the facade of the common school is just beautiful, and we don't wanna mess with, like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
seeing, you know, you don't wanna see a big ugly
Right.
ramp out the
Yeah.
front. And the school buses also come
Yeah.
right in the front and wrap around. So if you came out the back and then turned to go to the side, it would take up less space. Especially since with COVID,
Yeah.
they're getting dropped off down there.
Talk to him, because that's technically a town road.
Yeah, we'll talk about,
We looked at lists on the front side to go, once you're in.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Corey's done all that research on distancing.
But going through
We
the
would
back,
definitely
better,
include
you
them
can
all
get those two rooms.
to have them just make sure, so when you
We
come
might have
out,
to widen that
climb, we wouldn't be sticking out in the
Yeah.
road for
For a
you.
wheelchair.
Before you build anything or whatnot, you'll come in here.
Yeah, I mean, right before we hit the last nail,
Okay.
come on.
Unless I can do a little bit better.
Yeah.
Good K-12 practice.
Now, the trucks are pretty handy, so you can just go by, we have mold just hook onto it if we don't like it.
Yeah, great, that's great news, thank you.
I'll look into our insurance for us, Jonathan.
That's fine,
And if
yeah,
you-
and
if
I'll
you guys
touch
wanna
base
do
with
the-
ours.
The lease or whatever,
Yep,
just send it to me and I'll take it to our board.
sounds good.
Cool.
So what are you hoping to move, like the stuff that's down in this room?
Yeah, some of it, not all of it.
Yeah.
But our idea is kind of do a rotating thing, so maybe we have a focus. We're only using one of the rooms.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you do the railroad history or whatever. And I've been working with Jamie Tibbetts at the school. So maybe we can get some of the kids from the outdoor rec class in there and make it a little more interactive, like dress up boxes or model train stations, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And then rotate it every few months or something.
Would it be,
Railroad buff, what's that guy? Newton? Used to.
Oh,
He's a big railroad buff.
Oh,
He would
God.
help you out
Who's
with
that?
anything railroad, always from St. Albans. He used
why
to.
did you say his name that time, guys? He always dressed
Tall
up.
guy there.
He dressed up like
Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln, because he was about 6'5", 6'6", and he was a long, thin framed.
I don't know if I want to talk to him.
What is?
But he used to, People's Trust, he did their outside, you know, flag and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was kind of the maintenance guy at the courthouse for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what,
Yeah.
Newell Decker, Newell Decker, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is a big railroad buff.
He was into it so that he'd got, I mean, they'd kind of let him on any train in the United States. He'd cruise all over the United
Yeah.
States. Because he knew all the engineers and all the stuff. Yeah, he was a fanatic about it.
Well,
Still is.
And I think that he opened a suggestion, I mean, Tom, your family's been in the town for 200
Yeah.
years, you know? I mean, if you had anything that you ever wanted to, I'm sure Tori wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
so before you guys move in, right now, there's a bunch of people that all work together and it's pretty, but should the rec department and the historical society have a kind of understanding of who has what room, what
Yes.
use?
Or who's
Yes.
the main leasee?
So we've had that discussion before, and, you know, our discussion was the rec committee, we would probably be the main lessee.
Yeah.
And then sublet that room.
But I think
To the
this is
historical
just
society.
something simple in writing, just
Absolutely, yeah.
so 100 years from
Because
now-
boards change, people change on them, and some have a lot more aggressive ideas than others.
Yes,
I would suggest
I agree.
not an in-depth business plan, but what both parties' intentions are.
Yep.
Where the guardrails are between
Sure.
the two and just,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the rec would be, being the town committee already, we would probably be the main lessee and then sublet to the historical society. If you think that would be the right direction to go.
Well, we're using more of the building anyways.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome.
Just something simple.
Yeah, it could be, I mean, you can write it up. But I think that's a good idea because like you say, boards do change, members change, ideas change.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll have it ready by next meeting.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you, guys. There. That was easy.
That's all I got.
Awesome. Well, thank you both very much.
Question more than welcome to
Let us
stay
know how
for
we
the
can
full
help
stage
work
of the
on the
meeting.
roof aspect of it. but-
Yeah. Well, this guy, that they're talking, that sounds great.
Yeah. And we have some money to help fix it.
Nothing
Is
crazy.
money added to that budget every year, or is that just a fee?
We didn't this year.
That's a favorite thing.
I mean, it actually, it has its own budget. So we usually
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
for electricity, heat.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Next year.
Yes, I
do that.
Second that?
I know.
Any errors,
That was the
omissions, or
minutes.
comments on it?
That was minutes?
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Morris?
You did a good one.
I'll bring this.
He's fine.
Oh, how's that blue truck treating you?
Good?
Good.
You get the camera fixed?
Not yet. He's not going to keep all the way off and all that, yeah. We'll get after him again and get it done.
Now tell them we might have to go to Colchester.
Send it to Charlie.
See if the warranty is good at,
That Freightliner?
Freightliner, yeah.
We'll get back after him. Get it done.
Yeah, just say, this isn't impressing people that trying to get them still by internationals.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, he told us about that overnight trip there, I don't know where they're making this camera, but of course, it's not them, but
Yeah, I
still.
was gonna say, it's a Viking.
Yeah.
Gravel for the summer.
So,
So you want to put any, materials on the road this, summer, I assume, with all the material you had to put on in the spring?
yeah. Should I do more?
I give you guys credit, you did a nice job keeping those roads passable.
I even saw somewhere where somebody had commented on Facebook or something.
Best
What
20
a-
years.
What a wonderful job you done.
I've seen it in a few places.
So Linda made you a dessert just for that.
And those two pieces missing, I had
I
nothing
told
to do.
Mo today, I saw the one on Front Porch Forum about the guy popping his tire.
Yeah.
And then the next day he came back on and said, thank you to the road crew, I didn't even get time to message them, they had already gone up and fixed it and.
Fix his tire?
No.
Fix the road.
Yeah.
We don't do things.
I guess it's not.
Yeah, but that was, Dodge
Say
carrier.
Dodges are bitching about them.
They were bitching about the tire. I may have to make a complaint to the town myself because I received a punctured tire after that. Of course, luckily Eddie had a plug thing, so I plugged it back in off and went.
If you get
But it was a small stone shape, just like a diamond.
if you get gem tires, they'll get holes in them. For sure.
They can.
Oh, yeah, you would say, once I submit my bill for that $500 tire.
Still call good thing.
You get very expensive tires.
The grader, we're gonna get two front tires put on it. They charge you. Yeah.
Hell, the roads are dry, you won't even need good tread on them.
Just need them on the front, or are you gonna put them all the way around?
It's $1,800 a piece, the back one's about that much left.
Where are you getting them from?
Wood? I think it was Ross. I think James the one took call and got home.
Call them, get some pricing.
Pricing, yeah.
Do we ever use Rouse Tire in Williston, Mo? They just sold out to Pete's. Pete's bought Rouse out completely, so they might be aggressive moving forward, trying to get into some new markets.
We had to, cause that 6-wheel drive, cause they'd be new tires against the old tire back, you gotta resurface, synchronize.
Oh, resynchronize the front to back as the treadwear is different.
Yeah, cause you're gonna have like that.
So it's a computer thing you have to change?
I don't know, James, he said you gotta.
Yeah, get the right,
Full drive, front of the drive.
yeah, to run 6-wheel drive, right?
Yeah, 6-wheel drive. Yeah, so. I don't know the decision, we don't have to make right tonight.
Just tell them to run it with back 4 tires. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're not plowing with it,
yeah.
keep costs down, wear them out. Are those tires loaded?
No, probably don't know they,
3 weeks.
it's 4,500 hours on it, I agree. So,
So those are original tires?
Huh?
So you get pretty good.
That's pretty good.
You
I
just
was just gonna say, that's not bad.
That's
for-
pretty good.
it's 40, I'd say 4,500 on a gear, you know,
Those are hard to understand.
Yeah, and the pitch of the wheel too, you know, they're offset. That's a lot of work for those tires. That's a good job.
When you're grading, you know what grading it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's on the turn all the time.
I mean, do we, where are we? Do we need them right now? Because if we need them right now, we'll get them.
No, we can, if you selectmen look at it and give you your advice on it. You know, and, you know,
They're down, but they're not.
yeah, the
I saw one day most stuff when I sat past them. They're down, but there's still life left in those tires to
In
go.
the rears.
In the rears. The front ones are getting about like my forehead.
You don't have to be in order.
No, I wasn't, I was just putting there.
So we're gonna get the 2 front ones. We just need to maybe take a look at the rears and
Right,
decide.
because it's most at 1,800 bucks a whack. You're talking some money on it.
7,200 bucks in the back there.
Yeah, so if you could ran them a month or two longer.
Yeah.
Just stop down, get the size, get the shape on them.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah, sure. They don't have it.
Got my gear aware.
What brand on it, do you know? Your cup?
Michelin? I think it's Michelin.
Yeah, so their radials must be.
Yeah.
This business is made for you. I'm wheeling and dealing over there.
Who do you
We
say
talked
was
about,
coming from?
The tires? Was it Rouse?
yeah, that's what it is. Talked about trailer, tilt bed. Lucky was $6,900 for a 22 footer. That's 14,000 pound trailer.
Give Dave something to write on.
Is this to replace that one that was stolen, Mo?
Yes.
That wasn't a nice tilt bed trailer, the one that was stolen, but it was an anti-load trailer.
Right, it worked for us and everything, just,
6,900 is not bad for a
No, it's not.
22-foot trailer.
That was
I
it.
would stop talking about it.
Who
You guys
was that
need one
from?
this time of year.
Yeah, but who is that from?
Lucky.
Which is Big Tex now. Lucky sold his trailer division to Big Tex.
And that was cheaper than
Yeah.
Foreigners?
Foreigners, yeah.
And that's a good brand of trailer. I mean, I don't know how well about trailer.
It is.
What
It is.
brand?
It'll be a Big Tex is what it'll be.
So should we talk about it? Should we just?
Like Dave said,
I think we
6,900
approved it in
bucks. We've gone
August.
3 years without one.
Yeah, it's time to get one done.
time to
And
get-
that one's heavy enough to haul like,
Skid steer.
skid steers and all
It's
that.
long enough for culverts.
Yeah.
That's a handy thing
And it
is,
can move the sidewalk machine.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, we could use that room on a few corners.
Yeah, I would move that we,
Purchase.
Well, or that we just execute the order, because we've already, I
Yeah.
think, put it somewhere in our
Yeah.
paperwork, didn't we?
I think he was supposed to get quotes. Make a motion, you can spend up to 7,500. What do you need, 7,500?
6,900 bucks.
7,500. I make a motion, you can spend up to 7,500 on a trailer. That'll be taxes and,
no taxes.
No taxes.
oh yeah.
Yeah, get in the room.
You can get some fancy fenders on them.
Yeah, bells and whistles, Mo.
Yeah, get some fancy fenders so we can bend those.
This is just like everything they still
You
got,
need a second.
they don't.
Is that a tilt bed too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good price, I think.
Then you
That's a
won't,
pretty
say,
good
then you don't
price.
have to worry about ramps.
I'll tell you the used one right now.
22 footer too. I think that's
Yeah,
a deal,
but
right?
even the used ones are going pretty high.
And I'll call them tomorrow and hopefully they still might have it.
Chloride, last year was 87 cents, this year they're giving it to us for 85 cents.
Hey, all right.
First time I've ever seen anything go down.
Yeah.
Especially this year.
Yeah.
Especially with
Was this the one?
trucking and transportation.
Yeah,
Of course, you could start using it
yeah,
right now.
Yesterday.
the
Didn't you
fellow
put
just
some on
left here, he left all the answer machines, there you go. And I just told him, you gotta pay for rain right now, you know.
That's right.
You know, that's all I can say.
Say it's a little-
And I don't even see much in the forecast. It doesn't look like it.
Not till next week and that's sprinkles,
Yeah.
showers.
We need it, we need that. Everybody got in the
Well, I mean, you
woods.
could work anywhere in the woods on sneakers.
My lawn's still pretty wet.
Really?
You get a bad lawn.
30%
Drainage too.
On Friday.
40% chance on mine.
Pave it.
Pave
Pave it. That's what they did in the city. Paved them and painted them green.
That's all I got. I got chlorine trail and grader tapes.
Everybody's,
You just want, oh, sorry.
everybody's getting along okay, less word. Of course, you've been doing overtime with the mud,
Yeah,
so that should be over, you can get to a normal.
yeah, it's getting more.
Shouldn't have to plow again, hopefully.
Oh, come on, wait. Man.
Hopefully,
Well, we've been
Get 3 feet of snow
fortunate.
now.
yeah.
So how much sand do you have left in that shed this year roughly at this time?
Roughly,
Quarter, third?
yeah, maybe quarter.
So it'd be good to carry over.
You said, Gene, we went to the Belfry the other night and came through Belvedere the long way home. There was still snow in Belvedere.
Yeah.
There's still snow. Legitimate amounts too.
Well, they haven't opened the notch yet, right?
I
No,
don't think so.
But they, I just heard on the radio, they're forecast
Jay's still open.
in the next week or so.
Yeah, there was some places where I heard that tonight.
Around here, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm moving
Next week,
south.
what?
Brattleboro.
I'm not sure where it is, but they were forecasting possibility of some light snow, but in a mountainous area.
Yeah.
That will be fine.
Richard Mountain seems to have snow through July.
When I was a boy, I can remember we fixed all the fence one year and it snowed
Like
way
seems like it's
ago.
always there.
All the trees came down on the fence.
We need some kind of more.
I was young then, Linda, you were probably like 25.
I don't think you'd fix that fence too goddamn tight.
What's that?
After I had to fix it afterwards, I said, I didn't think you'd fix that fence too tight, Gene. Probably your father did.
Boone Burleson reached out to me. He lives in Sheldon, but he lives on the other end of Riley Road, near my house, between, you know, that road
Yeah.
does. I guess there's been a ton of heavy traffic going through there, causing some ruckus, and didn't know what the
That's a
town of
trail.
Fairfield's plans were for that road, if any at all. He had heard that we were gonna turn it into a walking trail, but I was unaware of us ever discussing that. No, Riley, when you
know when
go
you're
by
going up Duffy
Doug's,
Hill?
the one that goes over to Reed's in Sheldon.
Okay.
Oh,
The Kane boys used to live, he bought one of Kane's places.
Yeah. So that trail gets a lot of action.
Yeah, I've seen, and I think more people are doing outdoor things, and I think the ATV it's booming, right? So I think that might be some of the increased volume, but it seems like there's a lot. And that road it's almost impassable right at our end, near Doug's raw milk thing there.
Yeah.
It's been getting pretty bad. And they're expanding from the trail to get around the water. So he just had a question if he wanted to bring it to our attention. Two, he just didn't know if we had any plans for that road.
First, I think.
Thinking of paving it.
Well, finish my section first.
You stay right on that dirt right there.
What is it, town trail now?
Yeah, I
Class
don't-
4 road or something.
It's a class
Class 4 and
Yeah,
then
I've never
Sheldon end of
been.
it.
Emmett used
Isn't
that
they
one.
class 4 too?
I don't know, it's nice on their end. They have 3 or 4 houses on it, right up to reach Roger's grandson's sugar house.
Yeah.
And it's well kept, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful through there too, and Fairfield goes quite a ways.
Where does it start?
Down there by, you know when you go past Doug
What's that?
Flax?
Roger Reed grandson sugar.
Randy,
Yeah.
used to be on that
That's
Bill's
his
Isn't
side.
his son?
Just
Oh, I thought the
just off the
grandson
way
was
you
It's on the left, yeah, shoots over across and
Randy
wind up on
Reed.
Crow Hill.
And
I don't know how
Randy,
much Fairfield
Lawrence's
ends is
father?
of it, but-
No, okay.
So, I don't know, it's, I think it's set up as a trail in Fairfield. Then the other end, I don't think it's a Sheldon Town road on the other end, I think those guys maintain that themselves.
They may.
I
They may.
think that's how it goes, but I'm not 100% certain.
It's well kept on their side for sure.
There's houses, I'm sure they're gonna keep it, so.
Well, I don't know, we have some houses in the woods here that I wouldn't, probably might not.
You done, Morris?
Yes.
Need to have a Board of Abatement and a Board of Civil Authority meeting. I was thinking, and I've talked to the JPs already, next select board meeting on the 26th, if you guys all can be here at 6 PM.
So, we'd say all that again.
Board of Civil Authority
Got that,
Yeah, what's that deal?
and Board of Abatements.
okay?
Board of Abatement at 6, and then Board of Civil Authority at 6:15.
What day?
The
Next select board meeting
26th,
at
Monday the
6.
26th.
Okay.
And what's the deal?
The abatement is the land that we got transferred from,
Oh, Bakersfield.
in Bakersfield, Sherman Street.
Yeah.
So we have to abate that. Or the town can pay the taxes.
Pay the tax.
How much land is it?
3 acres, remember that lady?
That's right, she just gave it to us, right?
Well,
But we're not sure it's all in Fairfield, I thought.
No, it's good.
no, it's, well,
Gene, my bad, that's what it.
anyway,
Well, that thing comes down, it's all, now the boundary for the town's in all marked.
Yeah, that.
and then, so the abatement meeting is to get rid of those taxes, because they didn't get
Just to
paid.
basically make a motion that we,
Yep.
no, count.
And then, the other one is, we have to review the checklist every odd year.
Oh, yeah.
So that shouldn't take too long, because that pretty much maintains itself at this point. People register, you have to put them on the checklist. People get stolen from us because other towns, they register in other towns. There's really not the control that there used to be, you know? Actually, Swanton took our person on Sweet Hollow Road, one of your neighbors. I'm like, because you get a message and it's like, transferred to Swanton. It's like, hold Swanton. I said, that's our number on Sweet Hollow Road. Oh, so I had to go back and get them back.
Oh, okay.
But you might have some insight, sweet Switzer. But you guys might have some insight on somebody that doesn't live here that we don't know, but it's just
Switzer,
Switzer.
they don't live in Fairfield anymore.
They don't? Where do they live?
I don't know.
Sounds like Swan.
On Sweet Hollow.
Possibly Swan.
No, it's Heidi and Glenn, me, Jack and Lisa Dustin,
Was it Graves? I was.
That house is not in Fairfield anymore because they still pay taxes in Fairfield.
which house?
Switzer's.
That's another one.
Didn't Switzer
didn't
used
even
to be where
argue
Jack and
last
Lisa
time.
Dustin live?
No,
Is he still that same lady?
I don't think so.
Wouldn't worry about her.
Whose name I don't remember.
It must be Switzer. The people that you don't remember.
David's a little owner.
Closest to the trail.
Oh, that one,
I'm the
okay.
guy that talks about
Thank
the
you, that's
elephant,
us.
everybody goes,
Yes. So anyway, so this is, I'll send you guys out a reminder, but this was just to say, next meeting is an hour earlier, please.
Send us a copy of the list.
Are you gonna bring treats?
No.
At that time, it's,
Oh, the checklist?
That time is supper. Just
that
say,
time is dinner.
if we looked it over beforehand, you know?
That's dessert.
No?
Let me go get you copies now, because that's a lot to send.
Coffees with 2 Fs?
Copies,
Oh.
copies.
I could go for a
Can
coffee.
you bring me some envelopes when you come back? I'll go back.
Well, is there anything else, Linda, before you go and get those?
Oh,
We're moving this meeting along.
right, just that we did send out letters to people who hadn't registered their dogs yet this year that had prior
Yeah.
registered. And we did get a complaint by someone who did get a letter asking if we sent them out to everybody in town. I said, no, we sent them out to the people who previously
Previously had
registered dogs. We don't, and they didn't think that was right.
Well, how do you send them to somebody you don't know if they have a dog or not?
Well, you should apparently you should treat everybody the same and send everybody the same letter. But just in case anything comes up, we use our list we have,
Okay.
so,
That's it?
is that enough?
That's fine.
Perfect.
I'm just.
I made dessert.
I see that, looks good. Okay.
2 are missing and I have nothing to do.
3 are
Three are
missing.
missing, I just
Haven't
have.
had any yet, so.
3 dogs are missing?
Well, could be.
Yep. Those things?
Tanner?
Do you wanna talk about dogs again?
nope,
Oh. Cats.
you got,
How did the cat crusaders make out on one?
They got, I think they were.
They got their 250.
They were
then.
everything.
Melissa?
It's in the health officer update, I can do it now or you can wait.
I'm just picking,
Yeah,
because you
don't be
never
so
waved at
sensitive.
me.
So just do it now.
Matt Patel, who works for Harold and lives in the old
Oh,
farmhouse.
yep.
His dog bit a biker as it was riding by. So he and I have had words a few times.
Where's he living on, Freddy's old farm?
Yeah,
The brick house.
yeah. And he now is in compliance, has registered his dog, but he said she didn't mean to do it. So
Perfect.
I sent him a copy of the state statute since we don't have a leash law. and told him if she doesn't mean to do it again, we're probably gonna have to put his dog down, so. That he should get responsible and take care of his dog.
Has he responded to that?
We had words, yeah.
Okay.
That's the second dog bite. Like I had another dog bite, which actually is in Fairfax, because Scott Greenwood, who lives on West Street.
Who's
in
Scott
Fairfax.
Scott bit somebody.
Yeah, who did he bite?
Unbelievable.
Scott.
The UPS guy, the UPS guy, and he was,
Scott would bite somebody.
He dared to him.
he's probably gonna get sued.
Really?
That one.
Oh, it's that serious.
The UPS
Nothing
guy
down
was
order.
off work for 2 weeks, got blood infection, like, so UPS is in on it. UPS's lawyer contacted me.
That's not good.
Yeah. And the other, hold on, 2 dog bites. The other health officer thing that you want to know about is there's a situation going on in East Fairfield right now in Jim Cameron's building.
Yeah.
It started in the winter. The upstairs tenant was complaining that the downstairs tenant was smoking in the home.
Isn't the upstairs tenant Jim himself?
There's a floor in between
Okay.
ground and
Yeah.
gym. And the upstairs tenant complained that the smoke was entering their home. Jim had tried to get the guy to stop, couldn't evict him because there was an eviction moratorium. So they sort of started out badly in the winter. Jim ended up having to buy like a really fancy air filtration system for the upstairs unit because it was making her husband sick allegedly.
So are they rentals or own them now?
Rentals.
Okay.
So then recently I got a request for a health inspection from the downstairs tenant. And he, among other claims, is claiming that the heating system vent is ventilating the exhaust from the heating system into his home and that it is making him sick, his girlfriend sick, and his daughter sick. He went to the hospital, and he was there for 3 days. They actually found a blockage in his intestinal tract.
Oh, carbon monoxide won't do that.
So he told me that he was being poisoned by carbon monoxide, and I explained to him that if he was being poisoned by carbon monoxide, he would be dead.
Should be.
He also said
Be a
that,
bright red also.
he also said that he was having sewage smells in the apartment. So I was in there for an hour and I couldn't smell anything. I went on one of the cold days so that the heat would be on. It's legally vented. The health department recommended me to have someone from fire safety come and inspect to make sure that the venting is proper. They also handle sewage. He claims the sewage was backing up all last summer and that, the back field where it's supposed to be bleached is a puddle. I didn't know that. I never saw it last summer.
Isn't Jim got one of the most advanced
Yeah.
systems going?
Yeah, but apparently it's not working properly, according to the tenant.
To the
Anyway.
tenant, of course.
So
Probably
it's
Donnie
become,
Megan showing up on that side.
the tenant, because I didn't find what the tenant wanted me to find, like, there are some things that Jim has to fix.
Yep.
I didn't see a carbon monoxide detector, but he told me that it's a first alert combo one. I've never seen those.
We actually have those.
You do?
We do.
So he told me he tested it, it's working fine. There's also non-permeable permeable surfaces in both the kitchens and bathroom, and that's not allowed. There are a number of holes in the floor, it's an old house, that go down to the basement. And that's where Eli, the tenant, thinks the fumes are coming into the home. So I told Jim he has to fix those by the end of May. But Eli was not satisfied. He wanted me to say that Jim is poisoning him. And his feeling is that Jim is poisoning him intentionally.
Deliberate.
And that he's using the holes in the floor, and there's one in the wall, to spy on him and his girlfriend making love.
Oh.
So it's really progressed, and I got
Whoa.
The lawyer, some lawyer,
Fine, we should go into executive session if we're going further with it.
oh yeah,
I would say so.
okay.
Well, sounds like, so at this point,
Executive session would be
inspections,
hot.
different groups are coming in to check for this.
So I've requested the health department, fire and safety from Williston, I requested them to come and do an independent inspection because
Yeah.
the tenant feels that I'm not independent because I know the landlord.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me ask 3 dumb questions. You're the health officer,
I am,
so you're asked to go look at this stuff.
that's correct.
And this isn't meant to be mean, but are you qualified to do that, or?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Number 2, do you go do these by yourself?
I do.
Yeah, we need to make some changes, because that's bad for you and very bad for us.
And when
I mean,
you go in
some
as the
scary-
health-
When I go scary ones, I take
I
Charlie.
go.
Oh, I asked, but I'm saying for your own safety and for situations like this.
As the health
No.
officer, who do you represent? The town? Okay.
Well, the town and the health department, like,
Is that a
I'm
compensated
appointed.
position?
I could be if I wanted it to be. No,
If you were compensated, would we pay you?
yes,
You would, okay.
you would.
Either way, we should not be, nobody should be representing the town one-on-one with somebody, especially in that situation, by
Yeah,
themselves.
I agree.
That's,
I agree.
So I don't, just FYI, I always say I'm a driver ed teacher. I have a health inspection checklist that's very specific. And it's a finding of fact. I don't make any judgments.
Yep.
I don't make any,
no,
like, I don't
I'm
know
saying it for
anything.
your own safety.
Yes, I understand.
I don't give a crap if you go out and you think you're doing good, great, but for you to go into a situation like that where party 1 and party 2 are arguing,
Yeah, it's getting pretty aggressive at this point.
Well,
Jonathan and I wouldn't go to a fire call where there was 2 parties arguing together.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason you should be doing that. Whether it's a dog or a tenant or what it is, that needs to be addressed.
How many times do you get called out, Melissa? On average, would you say in a year? 10, 5,
2,
2?
3
Annually?
annually. Yeah, it's pretty irregular.
And that makes it even harder for you because you can't get into a rhythm of, these
This
are
is what
my,
I do every day.
yeah.
Well, I have a checklist, so it doesn't matter.
Right, but it's,
I have a checklist that I just go step by step. Does it have 2 exits? Does
so,
it
but
have
it's,
this?
delivering mail's easy because the boxes are all numbered, but if you know everybody,
Actually, I
it's a
didn't
lot
pass the
easier.
test. It's a hard test. It's a hard test to pass.
So as we speak now, though, you contacted the state.
I have been in touch with the health department and I was in touch with fire and safety in Williston. And I haven't heard back from them yet whether they're willing to go or not.
And forgive me, I'm sure you said,
And do
but
they make
who
the
asked you to
choice?
go?
They make the choice whether
The
they go.
tenant requested the inspection.
Yeah. But when they make that request, you make that request, they're not obligated to go check out the scenario?
I don't think so. That his initial comment was, this isn't my jurisdiction. And I explained why I wanted him to do it,
Yeah.
and I haven't heard back, so we'll see.
What about the guy from Bakersfield? For fire and stuff?
Todd Cosgrove.
Yeah.
If he doesn't,
He's something different now.
He's retired now.
Is he retired or is he on a different course?
Chief Cosgrove? He's retired from his position as chief of the state hazmat team.
What, how old is he now?
We should, that's something we should use VLCT for and say, hey, we've, 10 years ago wasn't a big deal, but the further you go, it may only be 3 times a year, but once every 10 years, you're gonna run into something that's bad and,
The problem is
This sounds like it could be-
and you always get brought in on, so.
yeah, you don't get brought in on the guys that are going to
anything,
church.
yeah, because there's always accusations
Thank you.
when you're called.
Yeah, I would say a VLCT.
I would start there, I mean, that would be my,
nobody called him, I mean,
Dang.
Most of them aren't working in the office, so just email info@vlct.com or .org, I forget.
Thank you for just
Linda, envelope.
So what do we wait to see if you hear something back from either VLT or V?
.org.
I would say that both of you should contact the LCT and we should make sure that we're organized so we know what guidelines to operate under
I'll get with Melissa
and cover Melissa and make it easier for her on the
Thank you.
official side.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, thanks, Linda.
Bye, Linda, thank you for the treats.
Bye, Linda, see you tomorrow. Yeah, I agree.
And I would suggest that we tell Melissa not to go anywhere by herself. I don't think that's a very good.
It's just not safe, right?
It's not
Plain and
safe.
simple, it's not safe.
Melissa, if you have to go anywhere, just come
Yeah,
get.
take John.
Yeah, come get.
Throw it. Hit him in the knee, you'll be able to run him. Good else.
Or you know you can call me anytime.
That doesn't mean you'll be around, Joe.
No, but
If you will.
listen, we're a good team.
But you
Just took on a tough one.
Having two witnesses and, yeah, the second, one of us can go and just stand in the background and listen.
Okay, thank you. That's nice.
Well, what else we got?
That's all I have.
Jonathan?
All right.
Well, if you didn't go off on that tangent.
I'll be quick. Probably, but I was watching out for Melissa.
Okay, God bless you.
So, Origiano Engineering has submitted preliminary plans for the Juare Road culvert. We're meeting on site with Army Corps, I believe, next week to do a wetland delineation to verify if our temporary access, because there's one way in and one way out of that road, as Gene verified with his Jeep.
We got him.
What?
You know,
You can get through.
So, the conversation I had with Sam was, yes, we need access in and out, one for people that live there, have farms out there, and for emergency services access. So their drawings have the access on the inlet side of the culvert, so towards Fairfax and Fletcher side.
South side.
South side.
South side.
And so.
We could just upgrade Gilbert Hill and make it possible straight through.
yeah.
How it used to be.
So we're just waiting, that'll
Gotta
happen
get
next
enough
week.
truck through though.
Once that's done, final plans, an estimate will be created, and then it'll come back to the select board for review before we put it out to bid for construction. We're still shooting for a July 1st through October 1st construction season.
Start to completion.
2 years, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
2 at least.
No kidding.
So that's the plan.
So
Barring any, construction costs that get inflated, I mean, I think things are coming back
More
down into
They leased it.
the better range. To the reasonable range, where before I was like, oh, maybe we should wait a year to save cost. I think we'll be okay for this summer.
Origiano being a little more, the lines of communication better than they were.
After I had a conversation with Tyler, yes. So I
Oh, we were having difficulties with them?
not difficulties, just there wasn't as open, there wasn't, the lines of communication weren't as open as I have seen with other engineering firms. It was like I had to really prod versus, so again, no problems, everything is done on time and is looking good. It's just, it was a little more kind of like pulling teeth.
Okay. Okay.
Trying to think what else. That's our last project through the November 1st, 19 FEMA project. So that's all I have for an update on Juare Road after I hear back next week. So by the next select board meeting, I should have a better idea of if we'll impact wetlands and things of that nature. Grant writer, Pat Malone has been successfully onboarded, and he will be starting his hours this week. So you'll see in the time card that came around, there was only 2 hours for him this week, and that was just his onboarding. But he now has access to the grant writer email and is off and running. I let him know when the different committee or the different entity meetings were So the community center, the library, obviously the select board and the school. So he's gonna be popping in at those various entities to introduce himself and kind of get familiarized with any projects that they're intending to apply to. Certainly meeting with Tori is gonna be part of that, but really getting himself up to speed. That's it with the grant writer. Today I submitted 2 grant applications to V-Trans, one for the North Road culvert, which was right by the fire, on Saturday, so that one's been submitted, as well as the.
Where was the fire site?
Around Danny's.
See, there seemed to be a large flume
Yeah.
of black smoke.
So yeah, this culvert is like right in between the 2 farms, so you'll notice it's very, very deep. The power lines cross the road, well, just like they did in South Road, right over the culvert. So there'll need to be some coordination with GMP or whoever the utility company is, but, so that, both of those were, just over $200,000.
What was the other one? North Road and what?
North Road culvert replacement and Chester Arthur Road paving. So it was an estimated $237,000 to pave 2 miles. It was a shim and overlay, that Mo met with Brett and Gardner from Pike to put an estimate together for the grant application. And
Which section of Chester Arthur Mill?
it was from the Brandon farm to
Intro. Intro.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's part of our class 2 grant.
So the Chester Arthur is the class 2 paving grant, and then the North Road is a structures grant. I had heard from the grapevine, so normally these state district funded grants are $175,000 a piece, and then you have to come up with 20%, putting the total project cost around $213,000. I had heard from another V-Trans district manager that because of coronavirus funds, that they were going to be increasing these from 175 to 200 this year. I asked Jim Coda, our district manager, about that, and he said he couldn't deny nor confirm yet, but he said to put together an application, even if it's a little bit above what you normally would put, in case they do, that money does come through, that we would be eligible. So I went a little bit higher. I did add a contingency to each one of these to beef them up just a little bit, in hopes that maybe either prices get inflated or we get some additional money to help do the project. So maybe we can pave a little further than what we thought, or.
Like Duffy Hill.
So stay tuned. It will have to be a class 2.
No, but what about, I thought the culvert going up Menard Road, across one, that's some more shape than Rob and Danny's. You know, the one that sunk out and then we fixed.
Yeah.
And
So that'll be another one that I'm gonna apply for this fall, but yes, that is on our radar for submitting an application.
I thought it was already,
It hasn't been, nothing's been awarded. We did apply for one and we're not awarded it. But I'm reaching back out to those folks. They said they didn't, award any culverts this year from any towns, and they were really.
Really?
For that program. It was the V-Trans Municipal Highway and Stormwater Mitigation Program, and she said this year they focused on stormwater management projects, and next year they're focusing on culverts. So they encouraged us to resubmit an application.
see that culvert there, we're talking about St. Rob's, that's gonna be a bridge, they said.
Yeah, that's what I thought, right?
Yep, and we have a hydraulics memo report for that culvert from V-Trans that tells us what size. So yes, that is the next one on our project. The estimate for that one was 500,000. So that was more than a scope than I could apply for this, which is a smaller grant. But yes, that one certainly is on my radar and on the town's radar. It's in our hazard mitigation plan as well. But yes. No, FEMA funded the emergency fix that you guys did, but because the culvert itself was not damaged, they wouldn't fund the permanent replacement. So now we need to search for other funding sources.
Didn't
which is
that
what
breach a couple of years back? 3 years ago?
Hasn't breached yet, been closed.
The road didn't sink in?
you had a hole in the road.
The road sunk, and FEMA paid for that temporary emergency fix that Mo had to make and the highway department had to make. But because when we went and visually inspected the culvert itself was not damaged. So
After we concreted the bottom of it.
We concreted the bottom.
So this is, right, if it's about to go, you just rip it out and put a temporary one in. This one, the culvert itself, because of the concrete and the rebar was intact. I mean, we walked through that culvert, Mo and I, and the culvert itself is in good condition.
But because we made
Those
some
necessary
improvements-
repairs, the culvert itself didn't fail during the
Okay.
November 1st storm,
Got it.
meaning that FEMA wouldn't
Got
replace it.
Okay.
Yeah, FEMA, that's gonna be a big one. Be nice if it does fail when they can replace it.
Correct. Or just
That's gonna be a
keep,
bridge, like you
it's gonna,
said.
it's gonna end up being a bridge, yeah. And we got a quote from Du Bois King to replace it, and it was 500,000 is their quote. So,
That seems very reasonable
Doesn't
to
it?
dig out.
Considering,
There's a lot of estimates.
Considering it was over $1 million, put that one on Windsor Road.
on Wanzo, over a
He
million.
won't put a bridge in for $1 million. He'll sell you all day long at $500,000, but
Yeah.
you'll pay it.
And Wanzo's
Plus
over.
and again, this was a
Yes.
preliminary estimate, this wasn't with any, you know, going out to bid or anything, no design, this was just their basic estimate. But yes, so we know it's gonna be a lot of money for that culvert,
That was just the cost of that to give you an estimate.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the two other grants I have, so we applied for a grant through the Vermont Urban and Community Forestry Foundation to add sugar maples to the outdoor classroom. So we're adding another row of sugar maples. They gave us like over $1,000, no match.
Where do they go? Where do we plant those?
I have to work with the community center, the library, I don't know, they said they had a row of them, so I don't know,
Oh, they're at the bottom of the hill,
I'm not
above the
sure.
fence. There's 3 or 4 of them there.
So we're gonna add,
They're this big.
Yeah, they'll tap them.
so we're gonna add to them so that they can
Should go cut
learn
another one,
all
send 'em
about
out.
the process for that. So that was one that we were awarded.
Right at the bottom of the hill, and right above the fencing.
The last one, which we've been awarded, which we haven't selected a project for, is the grant and aid project. So this is the town, it's based on the number of hydrologically connected road segments you have. So we get about $30,000 based on the number of road miles we have. It's only for those segments, and it's to work on the MRGP, so ditching, stone lining, culvert replacement. So last year, Mo, was Lapland Road, you guys worked on and did that project. So I would say, Mo, think about another project between now and the deadline, which is the end of October, of where you would like to do. It's about $30,000.
Clearing, ditching, and culverts.
Ditch, culverts, it won't cover gravel for the roadway, but it'll cover the ditching, stone for the ditches, erosion matting if you need it for the, if, you know, it's not steep enough to need stone, so anything to help with stormwater. It'll do cross culverts, the inlets and outlets, stoning them. And it's about $30,000, so you can pick multiple projects if you want to split them up, or if there's one larger section of roadway that you think needs some attention, but it covers your time, the equipment time, so. This is about the 4th year of them doing this. It started originally with DEC, and this will be the last year it's with DEC and the Regional Planning Commission, and V-Trans Better Roads is actually gonna take over this program. But it's a guaranteed grant every single year. All you have to do is say that you would like to participate. It's a non-competitive grant, so this is year 4, I believe, of it. So it's to help with stormwater and town roads. Then the last one I have is, been watching closely, there was a presentation with Senator Bernie Sanders talking about the American Rescue Act and what money is gonna come down to municipalities directly. For Fairfield, we're looking at about $190,000 to work on water, sewer, or broadband infrastructure.
I see Montgomery's spent 30 million.
Correct, and I think they're using their amount as their match for a bigger grant, so I would say to the select board, I mean, we gotta figure out what we're doing with that money.
Broadband.
The water is, we do have water, so we have 2 water districts. Are we gonna reach out to them and have conversations with them? Is it a broadband?
Well, the East Fairfield needs a new cover.
They need a new cover, so could this,
That may not be a bad idea.
so just, again, I don't know exactly the details yet. They said within the next couple months, it'll start, more information will trickle through, but I wanted to get this
Do they?
bug in your ear.
They need a whole system.
So just think, it's not a lot of money, but if we applied for a bigger grant and used this as a match, which is what Gene said Montgomery is doing for their sewer infrastructure system. So there was some talk of adding sewer to East Fairfield.
No, they never
With
said
this
anything
money, is
for
this now the time?
You know, that
It
main
warrants
line.
further.
190 is not gonna.
No, but it'll cover our match for a larger grant. So if we applied for a multi-million dollar grant, but and use this as our match, then you could make a serious dent. in
Last
a
time we got
project.
serious about that, the ones in the village themselves didn't even want to vote for it.
So yeah, I mean,
So that's a pie in the sky, either put it, I would say this broadband thing.
Keep an eye out for the details
Yeah.
before we talk about what it is.
Yep.
Internet.
Tommy said the whole line.
So just know it's coming down the pipeline and no decisions need to be made tonight, but
That's
it's
like 40 years old.
something to think about.
I thought it was broadband,
So I
right?
don't
As more people
remember.
working.
That's been there forever.
We get off.
System's what, 60 years old, and we can-
That's all I
Is
have.
that East Fairfield?
Yeah.
Well, it's not that.
But
Do we
yeah,
need
I
executive?
do remember the sprinkled the side of the bank there.
the last thing I have is, it's not on my report, but on the agenda, is the TA 60 approving that. And I have it right here if anyone wants me to send it. Actually, no, I have one other thing. So there was, and this is gonna be the fire department too, there was a call on Route 104,
Oh, yeah.
in the town of
Not
Fairfield.
here yet. Did you talk to him?
Yeah, there was a call that Fairfield got toned to on Route 104, which is, if you look at a map, right, we have a little triangle shaped portion to the west of the interstate.
Yes, we do.
A call came in for a motor vehicle accident on Route 104 and Fairfield got toned out for it, and there was some confusion about who's responding. So, E911 emailed Melanie as the E911 coordinator for the town. Melanie sent it to me, and I forwarded it and had a conversation with Dave and Chief Corey. But you can just see, this is just a letter from Chief Cross of St. Albans Town Fire saying that they agree to cover.
It's nothing new, it's always.
Nothing new, it's always been that
it was,
way. This is just
dispatch.
a formality for dispatch.
They've got all kinds of new dispatchers in and out.
I mean, that section of ours is less than a quarter of a mile, isn't it?
Correct. So St. Albans Town, they were already
We own
listed-
development rights down there.
Yes, we do. I remember talking about that.
They were already listed to cover the interstate, but for some reason they weren't listed to cover that little triangle.
Just
Do we have the same agreement with Sheldon to cover Sweet Hollow in Fairfield?
I have no
No, we
idea.
all run mutual aid, so if we get called to Sweet Hollow Road, but we immediately call them or they call us, and it works.
And so, yeah, this is the TA 60, you all have signed it, it's an annual financial plan. And Charlie was asking specific questions about, like, why do we do this, right? This is an annual financial plan for V-Trans to verify, the amount of miles and what they give us per, class 2 and class 3 road. But then we also have to prove that we're spending $300 per mile in our town budget, which having 100 miles of road, we do very easily. So everyone signed it, I would just need a formal motion and,
We're looking to approve, I move that we approve the Vermont V-Trans TA 60 annual financial plan.
All those in favor?
that's all I have.
I move that we approve the warrants.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So do we need to, do we settle the health issue or do we need to go into executive session?
Depends how much more you want to know about it.
I'd
say let's get our information in place before we put too much more into it, whether you hear something that DCL.
So I'll do
So
some
we know what we're
background
talking
investigation
about.
first.
Okay. Do we need any public comment? I think we're safe to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn, then we can have our dessert.
What do you mean?